welcome to Daily Dictation. This is an interactive video to help you practice your English skills. You're going to practice your listening skills and your writing skills. I am going to read 5 sentences to you about describing your home at a high intermediate level. You are going to write down each sentence exactly as you hear it. And after we do that, you are going to have a look at the correct spelling. I will show that to you and how each sentence looks when it's written out correctly. After I show you the correct spelling, I'm going to teach you some spelling tips and tricks to help you improve your spelling methods. And I'm also going to explain some of the grammar and punctuation as well. Let's get started. So this skill of being able to listen clearly in English and write things down exactly as you hear them is best developed if you practice every day. So join me for daily dictation from Monday to Friday. There are new sentences each weekday, new topics each week, and 2 English levels offered. So the instructions, you will need a blank piece of paper and a pencil. 5 sentences will be read. Each sentence will be read 3 times and 1 more time at the end. You have to write down each sentence exactly as you hear it, and you will use your listening skills to do that. Try your best to apply the correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. On the screen, you're going to see numbers 1 to 5. Each number represents a sentence that will be read. I'm going to start with sentence number 1. Number 1. My roommate loves the decor I chose for our living room because it makes the space feel welcoming. My roommate loves the decor I chose for our living room because it makes the space feel welcoming. My roommate loves the decor I chose for our living room because it makes the space feel welcoming. Number 2. The rental lease was signed last month, but we still need to set up the utilities for the apartment. The rental lease was signed last month, but we still need to set up the utilities for the apartment. The rental lease was signed last month, but we still need to set up the utilities for the apartment. Number 3. I really like the layout of the house because it creates a cozy ambiance for our gatherings. I really like the layout of the house because it creates a cozy ambiance for our gatherings. I really like the layout of the house because it creates a cozy ambiance for our gatherings. Number 4. After the recent renovations, the home looks more quaint. After the recent renovations, the home looks more quaint. After the recent renovations, the home looks more quaint. Number 5. The new aesthetic of the apartment is modern, but my roommate prefers a more traditional style. The new aesthetic of the apartment looks modern, but my roommate prefers a more traditional style. The new aesthetic of the apartment is modern, but my roommate prefers a more traditional style. Now I will read each sentence one more time, starting with sentence number 1. My roommate loves the decor I chose for our living room because it makes the space feel welcoming. Number 2. The rental lease was signed last month, but we still need to set up the utilities for the apartment. Number 3. I really like the layout of the house because it creates a cozy ambiance for our gatherings. Number 4. After the recent renovations, the home looks more quaint. Number 5. The new aesthetic of the apartment is modern, but my roommate prefers a more traditional style. All right, so that is a list of our sentences for today. I'm sure everybody did a wonderful job writing them out. Let's get ready to check our answers. If you found that this video was a little bit too fast, I suggest that you listen again. You can make it go slower by adjusting the playback speed in the settings of the video. If you just need to listen to specific sentence numbers again, check the description for timestamps, and this will help you listen to specific sentence numbers. If you felt like you were able to write everything correctly, let's go ahead and check our answers. Let's try with number 1 first. My roommate loves the decor I chose for our living room because it makes the space feel welcoming. So here we have the word because right in the middle. My roommate, we have the subject, loves, which is the main verb. Decor is the object of the sentence, but then we have more information. What kind of decor was it? Well, it was the decor the speaker chose for the living room that they share, which is why we're using the possessive adjective our. Living room, even though it's one thing, this is a little bit confusing. There's actually 2 words. Living is used to describe the type of room it is. However, this is tricky because we don't always follow that rule. It's just for living room because bathroom is one word and bedroom is one word. So that makes remembering that living room being 2 words is a little bit tricky. And then we have the word because, which is a conjunction. And this one is a subordinating conjunction. And because it's coming right in the middle, it is here to separate an independent clause, which is first, and the dependent clause, which is second. Because it comes right in the middle and the independent clause is first, the dependent clause is second, we don't need a comma after living room. And because is a conjunction that provides a reason, so what follows is a reason, it makes the space feel welcoming. Welcoming is an adjective. Now, one of the other tricky things for spelling in this sentence is the word roommate. Just remember it's a compound word, room, mate. And that's why we have 2 M's here. Let's have a look at sentence number 2. The rental lease was signed last month, but we still need to set up the utilities for the apartment. So let's look at this sentence, or this clause, and this clause. What we have here are 2 independent clauses. Independent clause 1. But we have another independent clause over here. Both of these could stand by themselves. If we took the word but out, we could say the rental lease was signed last month. We still need to set up the utilities for the apartment. If we made these 2 sentences, that would work out perfectly. So they're both independent clauses. They both have subject, verb, object. in both parts of the sentence. So when we have two independent clauses like this, here we're using a coordinating conjunction, which is but. Unlike the dependent and independent clause that we have seen before, if we started the sentence with, but we still need to set up the utilities for the apartment, comma, the rental lease was signed last month, that would not make sense anymore. So when we use an independent clause, they can get switched. When we have two independent clauses, one of the ways to look at that is say, will it make sense if we switch the order of the clauses and included but? And the answer is no. So we actually need this to come first and this to come second for it to make sense. So that's one of the things that shows us that they're two independent clauses with the coordinating conjunction. Now, when we have a coordinating conjunction, we do use a comma right before that conjunction, which is why you see that here. The coordinating conjunctions are, we can remember them from an acronym called fanboys. And fanboys, if you've heard it before, it kind of gives us the idea of what a lot of the coordinating conjunctions are. So for, and, nor, but, for, yet. So these are the common coordinating conjunctions. Other than that, the only thing that might have been tricky for spelling is the word signed, because we don't hear the G in there. The G is silent, which makes it a little bit difficult. Utilities could be a little bit hard because there's a lot of I's in it, so a lot of people forget an I. If that is the case, uti, lit, ease. Split it up like that. Split it up in sections where in each section you have one I. So you remember that if there's 3 sections, there will be 3 I's. Let's have a look at sentence number 3. I really like the layout of the house because it creates a cozy ambiance for our gatherings. So, I really like the layout of the house. Then we have because, which is a subordinating conjunction. So that tells us that we have an independent clause and a dependent clause second. Just like the first sentence, it comes right in the middle, which shows that independent clause is first and the dependent clause is second. Because this is the case, we do not need a comma in between these sentences. Other than that, I really like the layout. I is a subject, really is an adverb, like is the verb, and the layout is the object of the sentence. It is another subject, creates is the verb, a cozy ambience, that is the object of the sentence, but then you have preposition for. And for is tricky because it's up here as a conjunction, but here it's used as a preposition. So you have to see how it functions in the sentence. In this case, it functions by connecting nouns. Noun 1, ambience. For our gatherings, another noun. So it's connecting 2 nouns and giving a reason here, a purpose. And so that's why we typically use for, and that's a preposition. Overall, all the spelling might not be too tricky. Cozy is spelled like it with a Z in North America, but you might have seen it spelled with an S in other regions. It could be spelled both ways. Ambience is a little bit tricky. Am, be, ants. I always split it up according to the syllables. Other than that, layout should be remembered that it is one word because it is one single thing. After the recent renovations, the home looks more quaint. So now in this one, we have a subordinated conjunction going at the beginning here after. And so that tells us that this sentence here, we're actually starting with the dependent clause. And then the home looks more quaint. Here, this is an independent clause. It's going to stand by itself. So now different, number 1 and number 3 have the independent first and dependent second. Now for 4, we have dependent first and independent second. And we know that this is true because the coordinating conjunction is the very first word of the sentence. So because of this, we know that we have to put a comma after this clause, which comes after the word renovations. Now, another thing we can look for to know that the comma goes here is we look over here and see the home looks more quaint. Then we have the home, clearly subject, and looks clearly a verb. All right, so a tricky word for spelling might have been renovations because it's so long. Run of eight tians, you can split it up like that. Or you can split it up as renovations, which is what I typically do. So it's up to you how you want to split it up. I like the second one because it splits it up according to the syllables. Finally, number 5. The new aesthetic of the apartment is modern, but my roommate prefers a more traditional style. So for the same reason as number 2, we have a comma here for the coordinating conjunction, but because we're connecting 2 independent clauses. And for this, the main thing that's going to be tricky for spelling is the word aesthetic. I would split it up like that. This AES, the tick. Because if you split it up like this, then you're really trying to memorize that this is the order of the letters to begin with, AES. And aesthetic, it's kind of a tricky word for that reason. So you can't really hear this E exactly. You know, there's something that doesn't sound very traditional, but a lot of people forget the E because it's not very clear. So aesthetic, I would split it up like this. So you can really memorize this AES first, the tick. Same thing as before, roommate. Just remember that it is a compound noun. There's 2 words in one. It's room and mate. So that's why there is a double consonant here. Other than that, hopefully the spelling is not too bad. So you can see there are some bold words here. Those are the words that we're focusing on for vocabulary expansion this week. To talk about the topic of describing your home. So the vocabulary words are roommate, utilities, rental lease, decor, layout, aesthetic, ambiance, renovations, and quaint. So make sure you look up the meaning of these words and understand how they are used with the part of speeches, how to put them in your own sentences, whether you're writing or speaking, because this topic does typically come up for IELTS speaking, and it might even come up for the writing or listening component of IELTS as well. So if you hear this come up, it is good to know how to spell these words for the listening component or for the writing component, because if the words are not spelled correct, you are going to miss points and it is going to lower your score. So you do want to practice this and make sure you're familiar with these words. Other than that, we are all finished for today. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on listening, keep on trying your best, and I'll see you next time. Bye.